Before we get started, let's just clarify that the games eligible for this list are from the 90s up until 2005, so only PS1 and PS2. Also, I used footage from the remaster if the game already has it. Alright, so this is my top 25 games from 1992-2005. If you were a fan of Digimon when you were a kid, then you would love this game. It was a fighting game with characters from the 3 Digimon animations. But not like usual fighting games, it was more like Super Smash Bros. With interactive stages and items. You could play with your Digimon and Digivolve during the battle. Or just pick the highest evolution of your little monster from the start. At the time, I was really into Digimon 3. And it was super cool to have such a large roster of Digimons. I had a blast playing this with my friends. GTA Vice City was my first GTA game. So as a kid, a game that you could literally do anything really caught my eye. It took me a really long time to beat the game, cause all I wanted to do was mess around, trying to survive the police. Of course, having cheat codes to make cars fly did not help. Thing is, Vice City is a very good and fun game. And the game laid the foundation for the making of San Andreas, the greatest GTA game ever. At least until GTA 6 comes out. ESPN Extreme Games, or just One Extreme, was such a great game, man. I wanted a remaster for this franchise so bad. I mean, how much more fun it can be for you to win a race in skateboards while getting to punch and kick everyone else. I'll talk more about this in 3 Extreme that has better graphics and gameplay. But One Extreme needed a spot. This game is from 1995, man. As a tiny skater and biker, I had a blast playing this. And I also can't get enough of this amazing soundtrack. I was always a fan of the Tony Hawk franchise. I've played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, 3, 4, Underground 2, American Wasteland, and Project 8. I gotta say it was hard to pick one, but I think I spent the most time in AW. It was one of the games I was best at, chaining up stupid long combos by using rails, manuals, and flips, making millions of points in a couple of minutes. I was really happy with the 1+ to remaster, but unfortunately, I'm not that good anymore. It crushed me when I saw that 3+ for remaster got scrapped. But thankfully they came around, and 3+ for remaster is officially coming in July. Bugs Bunny and Toss Time Busters was a really fun single-player or co-op game. Bet you could play as Bugs Bunny and Toss as a team, having to work together to solve many puzzles, defeat enemies, and conquer regions. The levels were very well done, everything with the Looney Tunes world. This was a very fun game to play together with a friend. I had some really good memories in this, and would definitely play a remaster. It was very hard to choose between Spyro 2 and Spyro 3. I really liked both of the games. But I think Spyro 3 got ranked higher, cause you can play with other characters besides Spyro. Still, Spyro 2 is an amazing game. That probably has the best bosses of the franchise. I got to know Spyro a little bit after Crash. And I love them both, so I got really sad when I heard they canceled the game. That would have both Crash and Spyro together. But hey, they also canceled Tony Hawk 3-4. And yet, the game is coming in July. So maybe there's still hope for the future. Bugs Bunny Lost in Time was a very fun, single-player game that you played with Bugs Bunny in many levels across different periods of time, and interacted with many Looney Tunes characters during your adventure. It was a long but fun game with pretty decent puzzles to solve. I'm not sure how popular this game was, but I can easily say it was ahead of its time. No pun intended. I would love a remaster for this masterpiece of adventure game. It took you on a ride with your favorite TV characters at the time. The nostalgia really hits hard on this one. As a really young kid, I believe this was one of the first games that really trained me for future generation game puzzles to solve. It was very hard to pick my favorite Looney Tunes game, but I think Sheep Raider takes the cake by an inch. It was a very funny single-player game that mimics the cartoon, where you had to steal the sheeps without being seen by Sam the sheepdog. By using a lot of ACME items, intelligence, stealth, and timing in very elaborate levels. Coyote has always been my favorite, and this game was hilarious to play. So I have to say this again. Yes, I would very much love a remaster of this gem. First of all, I chose to use footage from the PS for remaster, so it looks better. It was hard to put Spyro this low on the list, as I discovered it not long after I discovered Crash, and it was super fun for a 5 to 6 year old kid. In fact, the hardest part was to pick Spyro 2 or Spyro 3 for this spot. I think the third one was a bit more appealing to me, perhaps because of the skate levels, or the other characters that we can play with. The Reignited Trilogy remaster was super nostalgic. It brought back so many good old memories. It seems unlikely, but I hope we also get a remaster from the PS to games, even though they weren't as remarkable as the first trilogy. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you had to play this game. It took you through all the events of the third movie. In a journey with Gandalf's path, Sam's-End, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli's. But you could also unlock more characters, such as Frodo, Faramir, Pippin, etc. It was very fun and immersive in Middle-earth events, while also having an amazing co-op mode to play with your friends. All this with the amazing official soundtrack from the movies. I had a blast playing this game, and yes, I would also love a remaster of this. It was a PS to game, and I still liked it way better than the Shadow of Mordor series. I'm sorry if you're a fan of those games, but I just can't cope the amount of lore transgressions in there. Like, come on bro, Shelob can turn into a woman now. What the hell? But anyway, the Return of the King is guaranteed entertainment for Lauder fans. The Two Towers game was already amazing, but they still raised the bar for this one. I love this Extreme franchise, man. It was very hard to choose between X1 and X3. It was basically a race game that you could choose to use skateboards, bikes, or rollerblades. I don't know why they removed the street ledge from one extreme. But the funniest thing about this game is that you can punch or kick the other guys. And you could also make tricks to get points and buy better skates, bikes, etc. The tracks are very good and the music is incredible. I know it won't happen, but I would definitely buy a remaster of this game. Imagine an online mode here with 10 or more players trying to punch each other in order to win a race. The year is 1999, and Star Wars: The Phantom Menace had just came out. And with it, they released the official game with the same title, and it was quite fun. However, in 2000, they released this absolute masterpiece of a game at the time. Jedi Power Battles was one of the best Star Wars games I've ever played. The game followed the events of the movie across 10 levels, with the last being the Darth Maul duel. The Phantom Menace game seemed more like Witcher many times. You had to walk around a lot, talk to aliens, and search for items. While this one focused more on combat, it had more of a God of War vibe, and it even had co-op. It was so much fun to play with a friend, the levels were so cool, and it had the movie incredible soundtrack. You could play with Qui-Gon Jinn, which is very rare, also Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu, Odigalia, and Plo Koon. But you could unlock many more, including Darth Maul. This game really has a special place in my heart. I think I liked it better than Jedi Survivor. And the best part is that it just got a remake in 2025. It wasn't a full remaster like Crash Bandicoot or Metal Gear Solid Delta, but they improved the PS1 graphics and added more content to the game, including more Jedi. It's even better now. Go check it out. If you like Star Wars and old school games, you won't regret it. This fight game is very underrated. I don't think it's a very famous franchise, but Bloody Roar 2, for me. It's only behind Mortal Kombat and Tekken. I'm sorry guys, I'm just not a big fan of Street Fighter, although I really like Marvel vs. Capcom. The fighters were so cool and charismatic, and all of them could transform into a different beast. The combos were good, specials were cool, music was awesome, and it was one of the first fighting games that allowed you to break the stage walls and hurl your opponent far away. Bloody Roar 1 was good, but Bloody Roar 2 was definitely the franchise's peak. Unfortunately, Bloody Roar 3 and 4 weren't as successful, and the franchise died. Tekken 3. The nostalgia is strong in this one. I can't really decide if my favorite fighting game is Tekken or Mortal Kombat. I guess it depends on both franchises' latest game. Tekken 3 is where it all started for me. Maybe that's why it's my favorite of the franchise. But I also played Tekken 2 and Tag Tournament on arcades, and it was awesome. I just loved Tekken. The characters, the music, the story, everything was cool. Even the typical goofy humor and game modes, such as Tekken Ball, that return in Tekken 8. I played almost all of Tekken games, but I think Tekken 3 was the most iconic for me. Tekken 8 was beautiful in the new engine and had a pretty epic ending. But this one just has a special place in my heart. They really pissed me off by copying Mortal Kombat and making DLC fighters. I mean, how do you release a Tekken game without Eddie Gordo, man? That's criminal. Also, the custom items are so expensive and generic, unlike the previous games. Anyway, I just gotta say that Tekken 3 is so iconic that it even got adaptations. The characterization is very faithful, but the movies are absolute garbage. However, don't trust the critics regarding the anime. If you're a fan of Tekken, especially Tekken 3, go check out Tekken Bloodline on Netflix. It follows the event of the game, and it's absolutely incredible. If only they made the movies like that. I still have hopes for the future. If Mortal Kombat could, so can Tekken. Mortal Kombat is probably the most famous fighting game franchise ever. And what's funny is that my favorite game of the franchise is the one that is not a fighting game, as MK Shaolin Monks is an adventure game with even a co-op feature. At start you can pick between Wukong or Kung Lao, but later on you can unlock more fighters, such as Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I just like adventure games better. And this masterpiece of a game takes you to a sick trip into the MK world. By having you cross all the realms while unfolding, the MK War at its best. The story is great, and you encounter many of the fighters on your journey through Earthrealm, Outworld, Netherrealm, etc. The boss fights are super fun, and you can pick up weapons on the floor kinda like MK4. The fatalities are awesome, and you can even do a multi-fatality to Cade Line's many enemies at the same time. I had so much fun playing this, especially the co-op mode with my friends. Even this game intro was awesome. I lost count how many times I watched it. I would love a remaster of this game, but I doubt it would happen, cause they won't be able to rip off the players with extra fighters, skins, etc. God, I miss these days when you had to actually play the game to unlock stuff. Now everything is paid, even the game comes incomplete, as they make you pay extra for each fighter. and for another chapter in story mode that is canon to the next game. I love Mortal Kombat, and I play all the games since MK Trilogy for PS1. But MK1 really pissed me off, and don't get me started on the Kameo fighters. Even Tekken started to go down this road, but this is a subject for another video. Crash 3 had to make the list, cause it was my first game ever when I was a kid. So I just love the Crash franchise too much. I'm sorry Mario and Nintendo fans, Crash is just the best. It blows my mind that Crash never got a kids cartoon show. Or a live-action movie like Sonic. I hope I live enough to see that one day. My inner child claims for this. The lore is just so good, the characters are so charismatic. But anyway, Crash 3 is my favorite of the OG trilogy. Maybe the levels, the bosses, the power-ups. It was so much fun. I got all platinum relics back then, and now I'm going for it again in the remaster. Follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel, TikTok or Instagram pages to check my progress. CTR Nitro Fuel and Crash 4 will be next. Well, this one's a classic, probably the best GTA game, and one of the most popular games ever. GTA San Andreas was revolutionary and really changed the gaming industry. It was a huge step up from Vice City. The map was gigantic, CJ was an awesome protagonist, and there was just so much stuff to do, man. I've spent so much time in this game, it was so much fun. And not just messing around. The main story was so good, you really get attached with the characters. Not to mention the great soundtrack. Every time I got into a car, the first thing I did was to switch to Radio X. It showed me so many great songs that I still listen to this day. Let's hope GTA 6 lives up to the hype after all these years of waiting.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Star Wars Battlefront for PS2 was probably one of the best Star Wars games ever. But unfortunately, the Battlefront for PS4 that came out in 2017 did not have the same appeal. First of all, it's not a remake or remaster, so why the same name? It gets confusing sometimes. But anyway, the PS1 was a great game at the time. And now, even though the PS for graphics are far superior, it feels like this recent version failed to capture the essence of the PS2 era. I mean, why remove some of the best features? When the newer was released, it had just a tiny bit of heroes and villains playable, and mostly from the hated sequels. They added more later, but still no Mace Windu for example. I like the older roster way better. The heroes versus villains on Mos Eisley was my favorite mode. Not to mention the older campaign was much cooler. But one thing that bothered me a lot was the space battles. On the PS2 version, you could fly into the enemy ships, enter on foot, and blow the ship from the inside. I just love to do that. It really felt like you're a resistance pilot on a serious mission against the Empire. I don't know why they removed that. It took away all the immersion. I hope they bring this back on Battlefront 3, among other features from the classics. And give us Qui-Gon Jinn, damn it. In a list like this, it's just impossible not to add God of War, the beginning of one of the greatest franchises in video game history, that still holds up to this day. The very first one of the real OG Kratos had to make the cut. God of War is probably the best hack and slash kind of game. Ares is a damn great villain, and Kratos, he's an icon now. The history about Greek mythology is crazy good, and the gameplay is super fun. God of War is a must-have for every gamer.
The monster you've created has returned to kill you.
Time for the best franchise ever. It's funny how I got to know Metal Gear. I was like 5 or 6 at the time, playing Crash 3 during Christmas with my cousins. We were at the last boss when we had to go eat. When we came back, my dad was playing MGS1. I got pissed cause I had no memory card and lost all my Crash progress. But MGS1 really hooked me as well. I've spent many months in this game, even though some parts scared the shit out of me. Kojima really knows how to balance the epic and the funny together. Snake is now a protagonist just as big as Kratos. The game is not too easy. It has some really clever stuff, pretty good AI, epic bosses, and a killer soundtrack. I had a lot of fun in this, and I hope it gets the MGS Delta treatment someday. A full remaster will 100% blow up sales. I didn't like MGS 2 as much as this, but MGS 3 is another story that I will talk about later. I got really excited when MGS Master Collection was announced. However, when it was released, it was such a letdown. I'm putting all my chips on Delta though. It looks amazing. And I can't wait for the now confirmed Metal Gear Online. Time for the top 5. I'll probably get heat for this one. Many people don't like Crash Bash. They say it's very repetitive. But I just loved it. The hardest thing was to rank it ahead of MGS1. So allow me to explain why. I was just a kid, like 6-year-old or something. I beat MGS1 like 2 or 3 times, but I just loved Crash too much. I spent way more time in this game than in MGS1. It took me forever to get the 200% due to the platinum relics. But this game was just hilarious for me. It was so chaotic. I know some people don't want it, but I would kill for a remaster of this game, and with an online mode. I think it could sell pretty well if it got the CTR Nitro-fueled treatment. New characters, new maps, new modes could also get this game a new life. But instead they decided to make the Crash Team Rumble garbage that's already dead. Go figure. I may have ranked this one a bit too high, but it's my favorite PlayStation Lord of the Rings game. It's only behind the Battle for Middle-earth 2 for PC. I don't think this game is very well known, but if you are into turn-based games and a LOTR fan, this game is for you. The story is very good. You get to play 6 characters in a quest during the events of the trilogy. And many times you run into the main saga characters during important events, and you get to play them as well. For example, you help Gandalf defeat the Balrog, aid Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli on defending Helm's Deep, etc. The non-canon characters you play are very charismatic, and their side story doesn't deviate too much from the lore. All the enemy designs are from the Peter Jackson movie, and it also has its legendary soundtrack. It's one of the best turn-based games I've ever played, and it's based on the greatest franchise in history. And while you're not fighting, you get to run around exploring the beautiful scenarios of Middle-earth, such as Eregion, Moria, Rohan, Gondor, etc., while looking for armor and items for your characters. I think the faithfulness from the movies pleases me a lot, because I hate the atrocious liberties that the Shadow of Mordor franchise took. The lore transgressions, there are just too much. They even made Shelob turn into a woman. Another great thing about the Third Age is a super fun evil mode, where you get to play as the forces of Sauron against the heroes. The difficulty depends if you look around for good items, if you just speedrun to finish it, or if you keep looking for battles to farm experience, level your characters, and unlock their abilities. So it can be really easy or really hard, and it also has a co-op mode, even though it isn't very good. So, I have to say for the millionth time that this deserves a remaster with new generation graphics. However, it may never happen due to licensing from the Lord of the Rings rights.
So this is the legendary boss.
My top 3 favorite childhood games are finally here. Time for the masterpiece of the MGS franchise. This game is close to being perfect, and with the full remaster coming in August in MGS Delta, it might as well be perfect now. Chronologically, it's the first of the franchise, the origin story of Big Boss during the Cold War. At first, I didn't like it very much, as it was much different from MGS 1 and 2, but I quickly realized that this was much better. You get to sneak in the Soviet jungle, using the environment to your advantage while dealing with animals, traps, and enemies. The bosses are amazing, and the story, man. It's a cinematographic experience, one of the best stories in gaming history. Seriously, if you haven't skipped the super long cutscenes, you are definitely crying at the end. Snake is no Kratos, but a mere soldier, yet he's incredibly badass, one of my favorite protagonists ever. And the amount of details this game has always amazes me. You can throw snakes or beehives at the enemies, shoot their radio to prevent them from calling for backup. Cut off the ropes from the bridges they're patrolling, disguise yourself, there's just so many fun things to do. This game could easily be the top one, but since it's a single-player game with linear story, I think I've spent more time in the next two that I will reveal next. MGS Delta has also confirmed an online mode, but we're still not sure if it will be like the old-school MGO. As I said before, I'll be using footage from the remaster for this. Yes, the remaster is amazing, but the original CTR still is one of the best kart racing games ever. I'm sorry Mario Kart fans, but Crash Team Racing is leagues above. It's not even close. I think this is the game I played the most as a kid, and damn I was good at it. I played it so much that the CD stopped working, so my uncle put toothpaste on the CD, and by God's miracle, it worked for a few more months. New generations will never know life hacks like this, or like turning your PS1 upside down to get a game to launch. The waiting, the thrill of not knowing if the CD will work or not. But anyway, this game is extremely fun, but it can also be unforgiving. You might be about to win the race until you get blasted into oblivion. But that's the game. The levels are amazing, and so is the music. The OG had plenty of characters from the Crash world, but in the remaster, man, there's like 99% of every single character that has appeared in any Crash game ever, including all characters and tracks from Crash Nitro Kart for PS2. It's a shame that they didn't include the CNK story as well. But the best thing about the remaster is also the worst. The online mode, where you can race worldwide and see how good you really are. But unfortunately the matchmaking and the servers are terrible. Nowadays it's hard to even find a game, let alone a full 8-people race. They also increased the difficulty significantly, thank God. In the OG I used to do laps around the last place dude, even on hard. This game was a really big part of my life, and it was impossible to keep it out of the top 3. By the way, I'll be starting a Platinum and Developer Time trial run soon, as soon as I'm done with Warped. Follow me if you want to check on that endeavor.
Get ready to race for the fate of your planet.
Before we unveil the top one, here's just some quickly honorable mentions that didn't make the top 25 cut. The GOAT of the Prince of Persia series. Not gonna lie, this was probably the number 26 on the list. Warrior Within is just damn good. The very first Spider-Man, man. It hurts me not putting it on the list. I think everybody had this game. Heart of Darkness plot is basically the same as John Wick, but monsters kidnap your dog. The game was ahead of its time. Another one that's not well known, but also ahead of its time. Ultraman's graphics, gameplay, sound effects, everything was on point. Alright, without further ado, it's time to reveal the top 1 game. First of all, just appreciate this insanely sick intro. They don't make stuff like this anymore.
What up? Let's go. All right, let's do it.
Chills. Literal chills.
I mean, come on, bro. No footage I use will ever top this intro. The first one, Def Jam Vendetta, was already a really good game. But this Fight for NY sequel really raised the bar, man. They changed the environment from boxing rings to the streets, focusing on gang wars and rappers. And it worked perfectly. You can play as Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes, Fat Joe, Method Man, Sean Paul, Zibbit, and many more famous rappers. I did miss DMX from the first game, but in this one you can also create and customize your own rapper that will be the protagonist of the story. And man, the story is cool. The soundtrack is flawless with many sick hip-hop songs from the artists. The gameplay improved, keeping the Blazin as its main feature. The Blazin is when you fill your momentum bar and allows you to perform an insane and cool move that deals tons of damage. And now you can interact with the environment, smashing your opponent into walls, throwing them into a car, into the subway lane, etc. You can also take weapons from the crowd, such as baseball bats, pipes, beer bottles, etc. Literally everyone I've shown this game in my life loved it, even friends that didn't care much about gaming. It was kinda hard to put this ahead of MGS, my favorite franchise, or Crash, that was what I played the most as a kid. But there is no game like this one. I still can't believe how they could ruin and kill the franchise in the Icon sequel. I think this is the most wanted, but hardest game to get a remaster cause the licensing would be a nightmare. The songs, the rappers, I think a lot of them aren't even with Def Jam Records anymore. But if one day, by a miracle it came to be, I have no doubt in mind that it would be a huge success. Hell, if they just added the old PS2 version on the PSN catalog, I would be so damn happy. Back in the day, it was rare for a game to support up to 4 players, and man, this was so fun to play with the boys. Being a 2v2 or a free-for-all match, it was so chaotic, just like a real street fight. People swapped opponents suddenly. One time you could be winning, then someone grabs you from behind and throws you in front of the subway. Just imagine an online mode like this. I would sell my soul for this.
You better check yourself right there, bitch. You in no position to be making demands.
What about you? Did you agree with the list? Tell us in the comments what were your favorite games when you were a kid. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. And check out the playlists, there might be content from your favorite games too. See you guys next time.
Cybot wins. Flawless victory.